Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, NBC Sports Radio Station, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, TuneIn, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your host, producer of this show about hope and happiness. No gossip, no scandal, and I used to say no K words, no Kardashian talk at all, until it was pointed out to me by a friend that she's actually doing some wonderful things with her organization and others. So I don't say K words, although I should probably just change it from Kim to Kanye. There you go. No K Kanye talk. Because I want you to focus on your own reality show, not someone else's. I want you to be happy 88% of the time. That's your birthright. Why not 100% happy? Because if you're 100% happy, you're dead. And I don't want dead people walking. You need the contrast to know when you're happy. So 88% is a lot of the time happy. And 8 is a lucky number in Chinese. I know you thought I was Swedish, but it's a homophone for good fortune. So ba in Mandarin is 8 and fa in Mandarin is good fortune. So that's why I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And if you'd like to be part of that and join my Happy 88 tribe, just go to drmarissa.life. You'll get a free happy tip sheet so that you can start your day with hashtag positively opinionated, yours truly. And today I have a myriad of things for you. As you know, I do some beat reporting with a New York news agency, so I cover events and those that I am very impressed with or heartened with or want to balance out all the bad news that's out there with good news, I bring to you on the show. And today's no exception. I have a couple of stories. Black History Month celebrating with the mayor of the city of Carson, first Black woman mayor, which is super cool. And then also getting to hear on the 10-year anniversary of a very tragic event with the death of Trayvon Martin, where I got to listen for the first time to one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. And then for the remainder of the show, we have another caller with questions about her relationships. And in fact, most of this week, we'll have different callers with different questions about job or career, health and wellness, relationships, and business. Because, drum roll please, it is true. This is my last week where I'm not live. Those of you who have been following me for the last 552 consecutive weeks know that I used to do everything live. In fact, I got the best compliment from my friend and former guest, Layla Ali, when she had her own podcast. She said, but you go live, and that's way different than pre-record. And yes, because of the forking pandemic, I have been pre-recording, but we are going live starting next week, and I would love to reinstitute some of the things that I did live. One of them, of course, is me being Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, and help you with answers to your questions. Although you have to remember the title of my show. I do give advice that I don't always use. That's why it's called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. But I do 88% of the time. So if you are someone who knows you have a question, or maybe you have a question for someone else, wink, wink, nod, nod, you can be anonymous and you can use real names or not. So the guilty are protected. And then I'm also doing a section called Headlines to Heartlines, where after you listen to the news, most of us say, what's wrong with people? Or the world is going to hell in a handbasket. So Headlines to Heartlines is something I actually started during the pandemic when I was doing lives from my home that took headlines and put my hashtag positively opinionated spin on them so that we could find the heartline in the headline. And finally, I want to start a drive-by compliment line. So during my show between 8 and 9, always following Stephanie Miller, you can call in and interject into whatever I'm doing a compliment that you have for someone. And it's called Drive By, because if you're on my AM 1050 station, you're probably driving to work. And it's Drive By because you're going to give the compliment without expecting any kind of response. So it's a drop and drive or a drop and run. Those three things and more. When I get to start live again, the plan is next Monday. So get your questions ready. Get your compliments ready for another new chapter in my morning show live. Now, don't go away. When we come back, it's going to be the hashtag Dr. Marissa reporting live. In fact, if you're on Instagram, I'm Doc Balance, and I do post those as well as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, even TikTok, but don't tell my daughters. And it's Dr. Marissa or Dr. Marissa Pay or Dr. Marissa Happy 88, I think, on TikTok. So join me there and don't go away. I'll have all those stories and the callers when we come back on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, NBC Sports Radio Station, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, TuneIn, and on my YouTube station, which is packed full, almost 250,000 views now, of my past 600 plus shows, as well as my red carpet playlist that gets a lot of love, my interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, and so many more, as well as my new short film, PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities, which one of my past guests and filmmaker Seth Greenleaf calls a vitamin B12 shot for hope and happiness. And it got its first laurel, so please do go check it out. And if you'd like to bring it to your organization, I have some discussion questions afterwards. It can be used as a welcome back from the pandemic in the most positive way possible. All right? And you can chat with me about that by going to my scheduler, drmarissa1.youcanbook.me. And as promised, here are my hashtag Dr. Marissa reporting live on location clips. Enjoy.
Please help me in giving the warmest welcome to to the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, Dr. Melina Abdullah. Yeah. Right? It's important that we understand on this 10th angelversary of Trayvon Martin, who was a student just like your students, that we are organizing in his name and that we are summoning him into this space. You know that Trayvon Martin was killed 10 years ago today. He should be a 27-year-old man, but his life was cut short as a 17-year-old boy. We are organizing in his name. We are organizing in the name of Andrew Joseph III, who was killed in 2014 at 14 years old. We're organizing. Is going to be victorious. We are already winning. We are already moving police out of schools. We're already winning resources for our people. We're already winning.
This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Marissa, the Asian Oprah, starting live, covering the Carson celebrates Black History Month.
In February 1926, Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson established Negro History Month, Negro History Week. The event was designed to allow schools, communities, and individuals across the United States the opportunity to display what they had learned over the previous year with regard to Americans of African descent. Woodson chose, hear this part, Woodson chose the second week in February for the celebration because it contained the birthdays of Frederick Douglass, thank you, loved one. Frederick Douglass, February 14th, 1818, and Abraham Lincoln, February 12th, 1809. The celebration was promoted by Woodson's organization, the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, and his adopted fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, and was expanded officially to a month in 1976. So Woodson wrote more than a dozen books over the course of his life, and most notably, The Miseducation of the Negro in 1933, which is considered to be his magnum opus. He also happens to be the second person to receive a PhD, the second African American to receive a PhD from Harvard University. What would be a great trivia question is, can you name the first? I heard it. Who said that? Say it with your chest. That's right, W.E.B. Du Bois, William Burghardt Du Bois. So, as I vacate this space and slide off and pass the mic, I want you all to give it up for Rafa Music for Lift Every Voice and Sing, what we've adopted as the Black National Anthem.
Please put your hands together for the MOC, the mayor of Carson, and has taken her place in Black history for the city of Carson, Miss Lula Davis-Holmes.
After 2 years without having a Black history program, and we wanted to come and say, Carson, we miss you so much. We miss seeing those bright and shiny faces, but you know, we're gonna keep moving.
Happy Black History Month. I'm at a beautiful event here in the city of Carson, and I have the mayor of Carson, who is not only, she's not not only very well dressed and fashionable, she's also the first black mayor, first black female mayor, and I wanted to catch up with her before the music started and just ask you, did you ever think you would be here like this?
Yes. Well, it's called planning my long and short-term goals. So when I came to the city, the young lady that swore me in when I was a park director in 1980, she says, one day you're going to be our mayor. She didn't know me or anything, so I just claimed it. And so it was a process. I worked my way up from the parks as a volunteer first, then was a park director, then became a supervisor and the first female superintendent in the city. And then I decided to run for council. And so I was on council for 15 years. And then I decided I should be mayor. Timing is everything.
Well, it was not an overnight, obviously, but you kept that vision in mind. As a woman, as a black woman leader, what would you give as advice to any other black women who want to aspire to leadership positions? What should they remember?
What I tell women is never forget that you're a woman, but when you walk in with control and command. Don't ever sell yourself short, because this is a mostly dominated man's world. So know your facts, have your information together, have a plan, and implement that plan.
Yes. I was touched by what you said about what's going on in the world right now. If you could repeat that, that would be great.
What I said was, as we're sitting here celebrating, I want us to remember our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine, because they are faced with something that no country should have to be faced with, because someone wants power. And I just want to let them know that our hearts go out with them at this time. And my heart is just broken when I look at the pictures and mothers and holding their babies. That could be here in the United States, and I don't want anyone to forget. War is mean, war is terrible, and we need to remember them. And we also need to thank our troops for making that ultimate sacrifice, because that's why we're here in the United States. I can come and have an event like this here today, whereas other people cannot. And I just want everyone to be happy and to get along, but no country, no child should have to go through war.
Yes. Very well said. Now, what does Black History Month mean to you?
Black History is a time for us to celebrate our culture and what we've done for this country. All too often, people forget about the sacrifices and the inventions that we as black people have made. Say Black History Month is in February. Like our Mayor Pro Tem said, Black History Month is every day for us. We live, eat, and breathe blackness. But it's not only about, we want all cultures to understand what Black history means to the African American community.
Beautiful. And as another culture, what can I do to support valuing and ending racism?
That racism is learned, as far as I'm concerned. It's learned and it's taught. A child doesn't come here hating another culture. We're all one. We have more in common than our differences. And we need to put all those things we have in common, put them together, stir them up in a melting pot, and make it happen, because we're one. When you hurt, I hurt. When my Asian brothers and sisters hurt, so do I. Yeah. So it's not about me being black. It's about me being a person. I don't look at me as a black, even though everybody's excited that I was the first black mayor. I am a human being first, and I love all of my sisters and brothers. I always tell my Filipino brothers and sisters, I'm your sister from another mother, and that's the way I look at it all. I'm your sister from another mother.
Yes. The last question I ask people on my show is, to who or what are you most grateful for?
I'm just grateful for the Almighty God above. I'm obedient, and I move when He says time to move. Order my footsteps. And when I started down this journey, He told me, no weapons formed against you shall prosper. The enemy's going to come after you in many ways, but know that I got your back.
Beautiful. Now, this is something I do at the end of the show. It's peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace.
Awesome.
Gee, I knew you would like that.
Awesome.
So nice to meet you. Could you say and spell your name?
Lula is my first name, Davis, Davis, last name is Holmes, Holmes.
So nice to meet you.
Please put your hands together for Mr. Cameron Valentine.
There have been many notable black contributions to music, as in 1961, Motown becomes the sound of young America. In 1967, Aretha Franklin brings worship to pop charts. In 1968, James Brown releases Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. In 1973, DJ Kool Herc makes the turntable the instrument of hip-hop. In 1983, Michael Jackson breaks MTV's color barrier with Thriller. In 1984, Prince unleashes Purple Rain. In 1995, Tupac makes hip-hop poetry. In 2022, history is made with a Super Bowl halftime show with performances from rap and R&B legends Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and 50 Cent. All the artists came from humble beginnings. Now all are multi-millionaires and billionaires, showing to us all anything is possible.
Reverend Jesse Jackson of Operation Push was the Watts Stacks concert MC, opening with his Black Power speech that culminated in his trademark, I am beautiful. To stand together. All right, Carson, it's time for our call and response also. Again, by Mr. Ali Giddens, We will repeat after him. Everyone, please put one fist in the air.
I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody.
We are somebody, Carson. We are somebody.
I hope you enjoyed those stories. And if you have an event that you would like to promote on my show, or maybe a new book or a product, please do contact me at drmarissa.life. Very affordable rates, especially if you're a nonprofit. And when we return, it's going to be a caller talking about how to improve her relationships in her family and beyond. On Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, NBC Sports Radio Station, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, TuneIn, and more. And thank you for continuing to support this show. I couldn't do it without my sponsors. And today's show is sponsored by my friend Joe at Collision Repair Consultants. Take a listen. So what do you do when you have an accident that makes a mess of your car? My go-to shop is Collision Repair Consultants. And they are actually on the preferred list of my insurance company, which makes it even better. Joe, Alex, Michelle, and all the guys will do their best to make the accident as hassle-free and pain-free as possible, with a warranty and guarantee for their work for life. If you are looking for a great body shop, go to Collision Repair Consultants and tell them that Dr. Marissa sent you. Give them a call at 562-218-8900. That's 562-218-8900. Tell them Dr. Marissa sent you. Yes, and that's another cool thing about going live is I'll be able to do some commercials for you. So if you have a product that you'd like me to produce, a 30-second commercial for you, please contact me at drmarissa.life, and you will be broadcast to an area of over 5 million homes in Southern California on the #1 talk news station in the IE. And yes, this is the #1 show at 8 a.m. as well. And now, as promised, here's a caller who wants help with her relationships. Enjoy.
Every once in a while, I have my past callers who get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking smog checked to return and check in with me and tell me what's working and what needs a little bit more gas. So, Tinyetta, you remind our listeners who did not listen to that show what we talked about.
I spoke to you before about family. You know, I have 4 sons, and they were a bit off kilter, but you reminded me of, you know, the powerful effort that I made and put in with my boys, and you know, just helped me to reaffirm that my purpose as a parent is not thwarted just because the children are now on their path and learning their own lessons.
Correct. Good mom does not come with conditions, or it doesn't come with what's going on in their lives. Of course, it's wonderful if wonderful things are happening, but if not wonderful things are happening, it's not your fault. If you did the best that you could with the time that you have and the resources you had, which we affirm that you did, then that's enough, and it is good enough. So that is still true. In fact, one of my past guests, Edwene Gaines, I love her definition of a good mother. A good mother is someone who brought you into this world. So if you gave birth, I was going to put it a little more crudely, but I'm not going to. So if you gave birth and popped your kid out, then you've done your job. Everything else that you do well is just gravy. So in that sense, you're a good mom. I'm a good mom. I did it twice. You did it 4 times. But on top of that, I know that you were more than that, and you did raise them. And this is what we do as parents. We just do the best that we can. The other definition that I've come up with now for good parenting is if you do better, even minutely better than your own parents did, then that is good enough. You don't need to do. I told the
girlfriend that the other day.
Yes, because we're not going to do it perfectly, and we're not going to fix like generations and generations of dysfunction. You know, our job is to put the fun in dysfunction. So if we just do a little better, I tell my kids all the time, you know, at least I don't blank you, right? That's what my mother did. And so I know I still have a bit of a temper, and I know that it comes out when I don't want it to, but I came from that background. You know, I came from Tao women. Tao women were very strong, you know, and there's benefits to that, but there's consequences to that. And I tell my kids all the time, I know you're going to do better with your daughters than I'm doing with you, but I'm doing better than my parents did with me. And that's our job. It's not blaming them. It's just our job to continue to make it better.
Yeah.
So. Good. So are we talking about your boys?
Oh, no, but I would like to talk about kind of a combination between family and business.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm launching a new podcast soon, and I'm going to do so utilizing, I'll be going home to the East Coast for the first time in nearly 15 years for a family reunion.
Wow.
And I'll be seeing family members that I haven't seen since my early 20s.
Wow.
And I would like to do a remote podcast from there, or at least record conversations with the elders. I really want to gather our stories and begin to retell our stories and help our young people make their ancestors their heroes again.
That's a very... very good idea. Only because I had a project that I don't have time for called the Wisdom Project, which is a similar thing that I do absolutely agree with you that we tend to lose the wisdom, the knowledge transfer, because we don't seem to respect our elders like we used to. Yeah. So good for you. All right. So the opportunity is.
The opportunity is to make some truly well-rooted reconnection with family and create an opportunity for all of us to remember and be reminded together. And that word remember, I've been using it quite a bit and saying that, you know, when we remember, we are reinstating our membership with whatever that may be that we need to be reminded of. And in my case, I'm remembering with family that we are Native Americans that married ex-slaves. That's a rich history. That's a rich history. We are Afro-Native Americans.
Okay, so powerful vision that you have. I hear it in your voice. I hear it in your heart, your passion, and it is a compelling vision of what your hope that the family reunion will be for you. And I want you to continue to hold that vision. And at the same time, I want you to balance this, because it's all about balance, remember? You are the star in your life. You are the principal in this play. You are the director of your acting in this play. Let's call the play The Reunion. Now, as you go back there and you have this play, you have to remember that not everybody got their lines. And not everybody's going to necessarily want to take the part that you want to give them. Just to be cognizant of that. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You'll probably have 80% of the people that will absolutely want to play with you and want this to happen and have the similar goal and similar vision that you have. And those are the ones that you want to spend time with. My guess is 20% of them will probably not want to play. Usually when I do organizational consulting, that's what happens. Managers have 100% people, 80% are usually, in that same direction, and then you've got 20% that are not going to be on board. So I want to just balance you to know that as powerful as your vision is and what you want is to stay with the 80%. Does that make sense?
Okay. You said 20% will not want to, or 80% will not?
No, 80% will. Well, actually, the way that I do this model is you have 20% on top. Okay, so those are your cheerleaders that in any 100 people, this is a model that I developed after, I've been doing organizational psychology for 27 years, I think, but I'm ageless, so don't count and see when I graduated. But so in 100 people, you've got your cheerleaders, which are your top 20, and then you've got your not so cheerleaders in your bottom 20. And then in the middle, you have your 60%. So you're probably going to have 20% of the people that are going to be at the reunion who are absolutely on board with this and think it's a fabulous idea and want to do it. Do you have that 20? Have you already talked about the 20 with people?
I'm beginning to.
You're beginning
just say it that
to.
way.
Okay. And so how many people have you talked to?
2.
2?
Three.
And 3?
My mother,
okay.
cousin, yes.
Okay. And of the 3 of them, did you get cheerleader? I don't think this is a good idea, or on the fence? Give me the numbers.
All of them said cheerleader. All of them thought it was a great idea.
Perfect.
All four of them are cheerleaders.
Perfect.
Yes.
So they're in your cheerleader group. And my guess is there's going to be some that aren't sure, and then there's going to be some that say this is not a good idea. Okay? So your job is to pave the road before you go there with your cheerleaders.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what was your question with respect to this project?
You're answering it right now.
Phew. I just, you know, when you have that point where it's like, wait a minute, who's asking the question and who's answering? Do I have enough information to answer the question? So thanks for saving my butt on that one. Okay, good. So I answered your question, and now
pave the road with. You said there are 3 types.
Yes.
You said there are 3 types. Pave the road with the cheerleaders, and then the ones that are on the fence
will go
are the
where
ones
your
that
energy
the cheerleaders
is.
are.
Correct.
Will probably help to fizz out for me.
Correct.
Or with me.
Yeah, there's a Japanese term called kaizen. So you're pre-paving the road with yeses so that those who aren't sure will go in the direction that you're spending. The temptation is when you find someone who doesn't disagree with you is to try to change their mind, or to try to get people who are with you to change their mind. This is what happens in organizations that gets a lot of companies in trouble, because managers or leaders spend too much time with those who really will, that's their role, is not to be with the program, to give it contrast. So I always advise my leaders to focus on the top 20, because then the 60 will go where the energy is, instead of going to where you're trying to be punitive or trying to get them to be something different. And in the bottom 20 or the negative 20, there's always 1 2%er. There's always one person in every organization or every family, and I bet you can pick them out, who no matter what it is, they're not going to be positive about it. In organizations, if you give them money, they still wouldn't be happy. If you gave them a raise, they still would say it's not enough. In the mafia, they'd be dead. That's that 2%er. So you what you want to do is, when you find them, love them where they are and focus on your positives. Okay. Now, the other thing about family reunion, I'm going to put the moose on the table about family reunions. They're kind of like large going home for the holidays. So going home for the holidays on steroids, especially if you're single, especially if you're still in the same job that you've told them for the last 5 years you hate, or you're still in that same relationship that you don't like, or you still don't have the kids that everybody keeps asking you, when are you going to have them? So when there is that reunion or back for the holidays, perfect timing, the temptation to brace yourself for those questions, or, oh, I'm really not as successful as I hope to be, or I'm really not doing what I'd hoped to, or, pre-paving the judgment that you think you're going to get from your relatives, or that you think you're going to get from certain people that you haven't seen in a long time. And of course, you want to go, oh, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and everybody going, oh, wow, look at this, look at that. My advice that I give, that I don't always take, is, one, drop out of MSU University. Making shiitake up about how you think people are judging you is one of the worst things that you can walk around with, because most of the time people aren't. And if they are, they're in that 20% and you really don't care anyways. Just assume that everybody loves you wherever you are. And I've met you. I know that that's true for 80% of the people. So that means it's your own, So when people say, so what are you doing? I want you to prepave, and I want you to sit down and come from that real loving place within yourself and say, instead of, well, I haven't done this yet, I'm trying to do this, or I tried this and it didn't work out, or I had this relationship and that didn't work. Instead of doing that, I want you to sit down. Actually, let's do it right now. Just sit down with me and take a deep breath. And tell me something wonderful that has happened in the 15 years to you in your life that you would like them to know. I can think of one right now.
Okay, help.
I have...
It wasn't that I couldn't think of anything. It was just so many things popped up.
Oh, that's good. Well, then I don't want to make it up. So what's the strongest one that's popped up?
Well, the first one was just that I finished raising my children. I'm
Good.
an empty nester now.
Yeah. So
and for me, that represents a new horizon.
Yes.
With everything else.
Okay. So that's your first line. It's so good to see you. You look exactly the same. That's a drive-by compliment. And so what have you been doing? Well, I have successfully raised 4 strapping, beautiful inside and out young men. No matter where they are. No matter where they are. Right?
Exactly.
Right? So that's number one. That's number one. So what are you doing for work? So the answer is, I've actually turned my work into play. And I'm having a great time helping people with various life opportunities, like sex and infertility. And that's it. So you've done, so you have 2 things, no matter what else there was that you are criticizing yourself that you haven't done. And the third thing is, I've had a beautiful realization, incredible wisdom that comes from my heritage. And because of that, I'd love to spend some time during the reunion interviewing you about your life experience, your valuable life experiences. How's that for a segue?
That's awesome.
Okay. So there's your script. Now, I'm not making anything up, am I? I'm not going to MSU University, am I?
Not at all.
Okay. So that is, and any of my listeners going home for the holidays and dreading that question that comes from that busybody auntie every single year about why aren't you married yet, or why are you still working at that, or why didn't you go to school, or what, all of those, you don't even need that critic to ask you the questions during the holidays. You hear it in your head. You've internalized the critic. And so many of my clients and my listeners hate going home for the holidays, but they have to go because it's just expected and it's just too much of a problem not going. I want this year for you to be different. I would love that you take the advice that I just gave to Tanyetta that I don't always use, but that is to make this season very different. Make your reunion very different than the normal, trying to hide your own or to pacify that critic in your own head. Make peace with that critic before you go. Make peace with those voices that are not telling the truth. They're only telling some of the things that have happened to you. They're not telling the rest of the story. And the only author, as Don Miguel so beautifully said it last week at Agape, you're the author of your life. You're the author. You're not a victim to what your critic says about your life. You make up the story of your life. You see what has happened and transpired in your life. You can either see it as a tragedy or you can see it as some springboard that brought you an expansion that you could not have had any other way.
Yes.
And if you can make peace with that before you go, then your experience and what you're bringing is going to be so vastly different than coming from that, oh God, I know she's going to ask me this, or, oh, I know I'm going to have to, and that just ruins every holidays. No wonder people get the holiday blues. They've got all this stuff going on in their head.
In my case, Dr. Meredith, I'm one of the reasons why I can call myself a happy, fortunate person is that I've been doing all of that work in the 30 years that I've been in California.
Good.
And so the last 15 years, easily I have been resolving, clearing, making a clearance for what I'm about to go home and experience with my family.
Right. Good.
The calls that I've done with you have not been for naught.
Oh, yay!
It's been in preparation of this, and the counseling sessions that I've had, and
Good.
Yes,
I'm very glad.
And I hope you enjoyed that. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, we're going to be doing a lot more callers. I'm going to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. I hope she doesn't hear this. Actually, I have met her. We raced sailboats together a number of years back. And the name of her boat was Perfect. But I know she helped a lot of people. She was just a little bit brutally honest. And I believe that you can be honest without being brutal. That's why I say kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. Just say it. And that's it for show number 647. This is the end of the show. Sorry, but I have to go. I know, I'm crazy. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go forth and multiply the wonder that you are and have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.